Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Ferris Sports Update. I'm your host Rob Bentley and thanks for tuning in. On today's show we'll talk men's basketball, we'll check in with Bulldog track and field, and we'll talk Bulldog hockey. First up, head coach Bill Sall with the men's basketball team. And Coach, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Robert.
It's been a while here since we had you on, and seems like ages ago the Bulldogs taking part in the GLIAC Tournament down against the Findlay Oilers at Croy Gymnasium, and certainly a tough matchup. The Bulldogs certainly were right there in the end.
Yeah, it's a little frustrating, and that's a tough thing. Is when a season ends, you always want it to go farther on. And I thought we played exceptionally hard. We did some really good things, but we just didn't quite have enough to get over the hump at the end of that game.
Findlay certainly showed that they were a capable team, went on to win the GLIAC Tournament Championship and made the NCAA Tournament, but your team, as we'll see on the highlights here right there, led at halftime by 8 points.
We did, and we came out really solid. I thought we played with an incredible amount of passion and energy. I thought our guys really stepped to the challenge. You know, playing at Findlay is a very, very tough thing. You know, from the start, I thought we really played with a lot of energy. Eighth
time in the last 9 years the Bulldogs have made the GLIAC Tournament. Certainly a nice sign for your program, one of the longest stretches in the conference.
It is, you know, and generally it means that you're winning games during the conference to get to that opportunity. You know, we certainly would have liked to have seen a home game here, but again, going down there, I think our guys really relished the opportunity to try to pull off the upset.
We just saw Jared Staliker, a big dunk in the first half. Your team was able to get up and down the floor in the first half. Drew Lehman, a three-point basket here. Unfortunately, not enough of those went down in the second half.
Well, they didn't. If you look at the stats, 3 of 22 was what we ended up from 3. Makes it pretty tough to actually win, especially when the team plays zone like they did in the second half.
Josh Fleming here, Bulldog freshman, and a big dunk here in the first half. Another player that, as we've talked about before, has really stepped up here in the second half of the season.
Well, it's good to see, you know, 2 highlights right there from 2 freshmen. So we're very excited about where we're going. But again, in this game, I really thought we struggled giving up some dribble penetration. You know, their zone, we had trouble scoring on. Like Kenny Brown, that's one of the few shots that we actually thought we got that were inside the paint area. And, you know, down the stretch, that crowd got into it. And again, you know, it was very close all the way through, but we just didn't have quite the ability to pull off would have been a great win.
Findlay hit some big threes here in the second half, and certainly they played better in the second half than they did in the first half.
Yeah, they went from shooting about 32% to ended up in that game shooting 51 in the second half, so that really was a telltale sign. You know, we just, again, they played a 1-3-1 zone against us for the last 10 minutes of the game, and we really had trouble executing those situations.
The last basket we saw by Drew Lehman finished with 15 points to lead the way, and a nice game for him in his return to his home state of Ohio.
It really was. I thought he played really hard. And again, I think that was indicative of everybody on our team. There was no let up all the way through, and just really a couple of good shots that we missed away from having a chance to win.
Obviously, the Bulldogs lose 2 seniors following that game as the season comes to a close. Kenny Brown with 14 points, and Daniel Sutherland not able to play. Unfortunate for him that he wasn't able to play in this game.
It was. You know, we missed Dan down the stretch. That injury, and again, it's heartbreaking when it happens. But to miss him down the stretch with that leadership and also just a physical presence inside was very difficult.
Certainly some great recognition for both of those individuals, both seniors honored during the GLIAC Tournament. Kenny Brown, a first-team all-conference player. Daniel Sutherland, all-defensive team. And just talk about that recognition for those 2.
Well, it's deserving, number one. And as far as program players here at Ferris State, they had an incredible run. 2 league championships, a Sweet 16 in the NCAAs. I think those memories of what they've done will last a lifetime for them, as well as really for us. I mean, the standard bears a lot of great things that we'll see here, and hopefully have these guys build on as we work forward.
Both of those guys finished their careers ranked among the school's all-time leaders in several categories, and certainly to put their name on those lists with some of the other great players that have played here in the past is certainly a nice accomplishment.
Well, it certainly is, and we even talk about recruits with that, leaving your legacy. You know, when you're finished up here, what do you have to show? And those guys have a whole lot of cards to show, hey, listen, our legacy was pretty great here.
Those 2 will move on, but certainly you mentioned some of the young guys coming back. One of the youngest teams in the conference really builds some hope for the future.
It certainly does. I would dare say we had the youngest team coming back. You know, in order to get a winning record and get into the GLIAC Tournament, I think speaks volumes. Now it's back to work. We have to get these players from young men into men and, you know, develop them as well as we can.
Obviously, 6 months or so before you get started again next fall. What's the process for the guys coming back and in terms of getting ready to go again next season?
Well, we get a little time off here. It's about 14 days. Then we'll back in the weight room. You know, always this time of the year is when you see the most development out of players as far as their ability really to excel, and that's when they can get themselves in the gym and really work on their own game and hone their skills. And that's really, we have to see a big step forward from these freshmen and sophomores, not only in their skill level, but also their strength.
Obviously, as a coach, life never ends. Back on the recruiting trail, just talk about the recruiting process and how important these next few weeks are for the Bulldogs.
Well, we have a couple of commitments already. We're probably looking to bring in 2 more into the class, possibly 3. Right now, it's always that kind of wait-and-see approach. We've been to a lot of games. Like last week, I was out on the road 4 times at different high school games. I did a few home visits to a couple of prospective recruits. And now a number of those guys have offers from a number of schools. So, you know, you have to make sure that you sell the beauty of Ferris State and everything that Ferris State has to offer academically and from a basketball program standpoint. And then take that wait-and-see approach as the signing day comes forward. And really, I think it's the 3rd week of April when the signing date starts.
What's as you look back, what are some of the big accomplishments for the Bulldogs this past season? Obviously, an outstanding record in conference play at home. Just talk about the year as a whole and the direction the Bulldogs moved.
Well, I think the biggest thing, and you always want this, is from the day you step foot on practice, which is October the 15th, to the end of the year, that you improve. And I really saw improvement as a basketball team from our first game to what we were doing in December to beginning of January and then at the end of February. We really, I think, came together as a team quite well. You know, great wins. I mean, we had some huge wins. Wayne State here was a big one. Michigan Tech, Walsh. We had, you know, we were undefeated and 10-1 overall at home. The learning process is now being able to do that and figure out how to do it on the road. And we did struggle on the road this year. A little bit, I think, to youth. A lot of times that's the first time those guys are going there and playing in an arena. So you get some familiarity as you get a little older, but also really what it takes to win on the road in this conference. It's very tough. Certainly
some of those younger guys developed as the year went on, and we saw some big improvements from the first half to the second half of the season.
Absolutely. Josh Fleming came into his own. You know, I think as freshmen, you really try to see not that they're always going to have big games, but they have the ability to have big games. And Jared Stoliker had an 18-point game against Northwood. Josh had a number of double-figure games. Jabril Jackson had some big games. So now, you know, we can build on that for the future.
As you look ahead to next year, what are the big goals for the Bulldogs in terms of getting these guys ready to tip off again in November?
Well, we have to become a better offensive team. These past 2 years, we have struggled a little bit, especially from a field goal percentage situation. So, you know, that's a little bit on the coach to find out maybe some better things offensively to do, and then also the skill development of these young guys. It also comes with experience. You're used to playing with a teammate, know where he's at, where he's best as far as shooting the ball and making sure that happens.
Well, Coach, congratulations again on getting to the GLIAC Tournament, and another great year for Bulldog basketball. Looking forward to next season.
Hey, thanks so much, Rob.
We'll be back with more Ferris Sports Update right after this.